Getting stronger for jiu-jitsu is just one piece of the puzzle. Alongside all of this strength training and all of this jiu-jitsu, you need to give your body the space to recover as well. Your mobility and stretching are a key part to consider alongside everything else. So in this video, I'm going to go through my 5 favorite mobility exercises for jiu-jitsu practitioners. Starting with the first one, the elevated side bend. The elevated side bend is a fantastic movement for people that train jiu-jitsu, as it really helps to open up the lateral regions of the body around the spine, the hips and the ribs. In jiu-jitsu, your core gets such a huge demand placed on it that it's really important to address this area in your training. And the elevated side bend is a great movement for opening up this area of the body. The elevation gives you access to a lot more range than you'd get with a normal side bend with your hand on the floor. You can also load a dumbbell onto the top hip and use this as a really good core movement if you want something to add to your strength days. But whether you use the elevated side bend as a really good deep stretch into this lateral area of the body, or you use it as an A-tier core exercise for your strength focus, you're going to be onto a winner either way. Make sure you focus on that pause and big stretch at the bottom of the rep, and particularly think about pairing this with a big exhale to open up this region of the body. Then moving on from the elevated side bend, we're going to move on to the half kneeling hip flexor clock stretch. Nearly everyone in jiu-jitsu complains about having tight hip flexors, and this is a really good movement to open those out. This is also a movement that you can perform before jiu-jitsu, as it makes a really good stretch pre-training. Get yourself into a half kneeling position and focus on stacking your shoulder over your hip and your knee. From there, you need to squeeze your glute really hard to assist with opening up your hip on the front. Then, this is where the clock part of the stretch comes in. You can now start to move your front foot out into various positions, mirroring the hands on a clock. This will help to bring the stretch into the adductors on the inside of the thigh, and then I really like to gently rock back and forth then in this position. You can also raise your hands up to get even more out of the stretch, starting with hands in front. But if you want a real challenge, take your arms up and over your head and then lean away from the stretching hip. I find that if I don't have much time to prepare and I'm a little bit late for class, this is the movement that I tend to go for. Now that you've both the lateral core and the hip flexor stretched out, it's time to move on to the QL. The QL stretch is a fantastic way of opening up your back from how tight it gets in jiu-jitsu. The QL, or quadratus lumborum, descends from your rib cage down to your pelvis, and it assists in side flexing and breathing. And it's often a culprit for that one-sided tightness that people get from jiu-jitsu. Start by lying back on the ground and bringing one leg up so that your hip is at 90 degrees. Reach your arm on the same side out to the ground. Then, aim to drop your knee over to the opposite side and let it slowly come down to the ground. Don't let your other hand that you've reached out come up off the ground at all. This is a stretch where breathing and relaxing is really important, so take your time in this position and let your nervous system do its thing. I try to sit in this stretch from anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes and let my knee gradually fall to the ground over time. Then when you're done, take your hand from the top and assist your knee back out of the position, as you'll be really deep in the stretch here. Then, once we have the QL stretched out, then we can focus on the adductor sit back. Adductors are another area of the body that are just going to get really tight from jiu-jitsu. There's so much demand on these muscles from trying to play guard, and then the flexibility demand of trying to stop our partners from passing us. The adductor sit back is another really good exercise to do pre-jiu-jitsu, as it doesn't require any equipment. Focus on setting your legs up so that your feet point out and your knees are pretty wide. Then sit back into the stretch and let your arms come down to the ground if you can. Aim to relax here and breathe deeply. Your adductors likely hold a lot of tension and are gonna need a minute or two to relax. This is a stretch you're gonna wanna come out of nice and slow, as most people are gonna hold a lot of tension here and you're not even really gonna realize that until you're coming out of the stretch. Lastly, we're going to take a look at one of the best exercises / stretches for your lower back, and that's the 45-degree extension. 45-degree extension is such an invaluable piece of equipment to have at your disposal as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. You can go heavy to build up the strength in your lower back. You can use it as a stretch if your lower back is sore and you need to restore some movement and get some blood flow into that region. You can do various movements in the 45-degree extension to train your back to be strong in extension and resist deformation here. You can even use it for side bending and all sorts of different movements that are really good for your core. But the main reason that we're going to use it today is to get a big stretch into the lumbar region in a way that you can't really access with other equipment. You'll lock your feet into the 45-degree extension so you can be confident that you're fixed in there. You can then bend your lumbar spine into a really nice degree of flexion, which will isolate this movement and let you train your erectors that run down either side of your spine. Then drive up and out of the movement, squeezing your glutes and getting into a really powerful hip extension pattern. So you're getting a really nice glute exercise and stretching out the lumbar spine at the same time, which is going to feel really nice if you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner that's tight around this region. This is one of the key movements that I'm going to include in nearly everyone's program, and once you've done it, you'll understand why. So there you have it, 5 really good mobility exercises to add into your stretching routine for jiu-jitsu. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and if you want a free program for getting stronger on the mats, that's going to be linked down in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.